Hello boys and girls, welcome to BenchART, I'm for Classic and welcome to King of Seas, a game developed by 3D Clouds, and it is using Unreal Engine 4 to power up their graphics. So I'm testing today the GTX 1650 Super, and this is my recommended settings, so 1440p epic settings. But let me show you the results without recording. So 1080p, I have a flat line at 60 frames per second, so no issues, no drops. 1440p, I can say exactly the same thing. No issues, no drops at maximum settings. 4K, oh well, that's a different story. So 4K maximum settings, I got an average of 38 with 1% low of 32, which means that the game never dropped below 30 frames per second. With the high settings, I got a slight boost in the average of 2 frames per second, and median settings, I got an average of 47 with a 1% low of 44. The issue with median settings in this game is that the shadows flickers a lot, and there is a considerably difference in the anti-aliasing quality. So that's why I decided to recommend you to go with 1080p or 1440p with maximum settings. So the recommended settings for this game, it's quite easy to run. So a Ryzen 5 from the first generation, 8 gigs of RAM, and the GTX 960. So very easy to run recommendations. But you might be asking yourself, whoa, hold on. Your game is locked to 60 frames per second. Why don't you turn off VSync? Well, my VSync is disabled, and yet the game it is locked to 60 frames per second. I have gone to the config file of the game, and I have discovered that the config file, I had an FPS locked there. It was written there, frame rate limit 60. I tried to change that to 240 to 0. I saved the file, I put it the file read only, but that didn't work. So all the tests that I've conducted with this game, there was a 60 frames per second lock in place. Alright, so probably for now this is the limit for the game. So I want to give a huge shout out to Matthew from 3D Clouds for providing me a copy of the game. So I didn't brought the game, and you can try the game. There is a demo on Steam, so if you want to have an idea what is this game about, they made the demo available. But still, I was about to test the demo, and then I've noticed that Matthew provided me the key for the game. So a very big thanks to you. The game, it is awesome. Alright, and talking about being awesome, I think it's time to talk a little bit about the game, since I already told you about the performance, and as you can see, it runs absolutely fine. This is not a demanding game by any means, and still it looks really fine artistically. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the game. So King of Seas, it is pretty much Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but on isometric view, but with much more stuff in it. Alright, so first of all, the story. You start as a son of a king, where somebody asks you to do a deliver to a certain island, and while you spend overnight on that island before bringing your ship back to your own islands, the king is killed, and you are accused of killing the king, and they took your ship down, they killed your crew, and they thought they killed you, but he didn't die, and some pirates noticed that, so they rescue you, and that's about it. So you start your own game with this story, and then you start to work for the pirates, which is a big difference, and trying to understand what happens to you in the past. I don't think that the story will be the selling point for this game. Honestly, the story is just kind of a placeholder for you to have a kind of excuse for you to belong to the pirates, and in my opinion it should be pretty much about it. So this game, it is essentially an RPG. Alright, an RPG where you can tune in your boat, improve your boat, level up, and there is a map which is procedural generated, which means that if your friends have the same game, the map won't be equal to your friends' maps. So which is quite interesting. Despite the story, it is the same. The map will be different. There is a dynamic world out there, so everything, the routes change, the navigation system, so the weather just changed. There is a day and night cycle, so when there is a storm, when there is raining, It can damage your ship if your ship it isn't really prepared to face the waves of the storm and stuff like that. But essentially there are tons of stuff with this game, so power-ups, improvements to your own boat. And it is a very relaxing game, because this is a very slow game where you spend, as you can see in here, tons of time traversing your ship. And especially if the wind it is against you, so you move even more slower. So yeah, it's a slow game, very relaxing game, but essentially it is an RPG. You take quests, side quests, main quests, you improve your boat, you earn skills and perks that you can use while you unlock the story and the map, right? So the combat system should be pretty much the same throughout the game. It just changes the boats and the power-ups, and pretty much that's about it. So there is also a trading system inside this game, so you can go to a dock and buy wood, which might be abundant on that island, and you bring it to another island that doesn't have wood and you sell it for a higher price, earning more money. There is also obviously treasure hunt, and above all there is multiple difficult levels inside this game. So I think it is 5 different difficult levels which you can choose. So in case you finish the game and you found it easy, you can always start with a higher difficulty. So I think the game it is rather interesting. You can find this game on Steam for $24.99. I think it worth the price, honestly, if you like this kind of games. But this is no AAA title, alright? You should know that. That is, the story leaves a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. I think this is not even the main focus, so I'm not even sure if I can criticize the story because of that same reason. Because the story is not really the big deal, but as you can see, there is these conversation chats. There is no voice acting in here, but there is these conversation chats that explains you, like a tutorial, like what you can do and a little bit about the story. But the main thing about this game, it's really the RPG system, the unlocking of the map, and that's pretty much where the essence of this game is. So now that I have talked about everything that I know about King of Seas, hope you keep enjoying the rest of the gameplay, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.